It's not for children. Well, we're back with my second Pokemon video, and guess what? It's another banned episode. And this episode is the worst of the banned episodes. My first Pokemon video, I talked about Beauty and the Beach, and how I saw it as a kid, I didn't think much of it, but then I found out it was banned, and then I rewatched it now that I'm older, and as a kid, I found it boring. Now that I'm older, yeah, it was a writer's berry, this guy's fetish, it deserved to be banned. This episode, however, is infamous for a different reason. Not because of fan service, but rather because of the effect it had on the audience. Yeah, this one is Electric Soldier Porygon. An episode so bad that the titular character Porygon had to be banned from the anime. However, what many don't know, or many people pointed out, is that Porygon isn't actually the bad guy in this episode. The real bad guy will reveal at the end. So, Pikachu is tired, so they go to the Pokemon Center. And Nurse Joy is there with this dude. Now, I don't know his name because this episode was never translated to English, so the only version that exists is the original Japan version. But this dude in this universe created the Pokemon PC instead of the usual Bill. Bill is a guy in the game who made the PC. Here he's a cosplayer who writes on Pokemon in books, although he does have a 60-foot tall Dragonite, so that's cool. Nurse Joy explains to Ash, Misty, and Brock that the Pokeballs have been swapped out with Magikarp instead of the actual Pokemon inside. So, after the guy runs away, they go to his house, which, by the way, I swear to God, this house has to be the Pokemon Mansion. The Pokemon Mansion is a location in Cinderball Island that you need to go to get the key for the gym. It's known for being the birthplace of Mew. You can see diaries about how Mew is pregnant with Mewtwo, or in some cases cloned. Although in Pokemon the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back, Mewtwo destroys a separate mansion that's not this one. So, I guess the reference is the Pokemon Mansion, although it does get destroyed at the end of the episode. So, they get kidnapped by a robotic version of the guy from earlier, and he reveals what's going on. Team Rocket, somehow, someway, I don't know how, but they desanitize themselves into the digital world. Sound familiar to a specific show? Anyway, so they do this to kidnap the Pokemon so they can, you guess it, take over the world. Because of course they do. So the scientist gives them this little Porygon, and he sends them into the digital world by sucking them up. Pause. And now they're in this Magic School Bus ass situation where they need to ride a Porygon to fight Team Rocket. They find Team Rocket, who is stealing all the Pokemon, and Jessie has caught a Porygon herself. Although it's a fake Porygon, meanwhile Ash has a real Porygon. While doing so, Ash removes the boulders from the Pokeballs and they get sent back to the respective PCs. However, because Nurse Joy is a fucking idiot, after they defeat Team Rocket while they were doing so, she sent in a Power White vaccine that if it hits them or Team Rocket, they will die and not come back to the real world. They save Team Rocket, and then the missiles attack. And now we get why this episode was infamous. So, the missile strike and we get flashing red lights. Show me, baby, you're a star. Okay, getting back on topic. They flash red and blue and they cause an earthquake and the camera shakes. And then we get the biggest moment of them all. The missile aims for Porygon's ass. It strikes. And then Pikachu, this is important, Pikachu, not Porygon, hits the missiles. And it causes a giant flash of red and blue lights, taking up almost the entire screen. Anyway, so they get back to the real world, the mansion is destroyed, Team Rocket happily thanks them, but promises to return, they run off goofy as hell, they're confused, and yeah, the episode ends. And yeah, that's Electric Soldier Porygon. A unique premise using a rare Pokemon, where Porygon in the game, you can only get him by buying him for the highest price at the Zelda on Game Corner. So introducing a Pokemon like this in a unique premise with a rare Pokemon that no one really knows about was a good idea. So, why was everybody tripping? What's the problem? Well, y'all know the flashing red lights I was talking about? Well, when this episode aired in Japan, Many Japanese children suffered seizures after watching this because of the flashing red lights, specifically from this scene. And not only that, but this got so bad that it's not like Beauty and the Beast where like the episode was randomly pulled from airings. No, this episode got on the fucking news. The news had a whole thing warning you about this episode. The Pokemon show had to go on a hiatus because of this very specific episode. Not only that, but The Simpsons also had an episode where the Simpsons family went to Japan and they parodied this episode, where the Simpsons family, except for Homer, got seizures from watching this episode on TV, which came out around the time of this. So yeah, with the news and the Simpsons kicking their ass, Pokemon was not looking too good, and Porygon, as such, was banned from the anime, never to be seen ever again. He continued to appear in games, he even got more evolutions, like Porygon Z, but for he himself, this was the only thing he got. However, what people don't really know is that all these seizures were not Porygon's fault. Pikachu was the one who released the missiles and caused the seizures, especially this infamous one. Nurse Joy was the idiot who sent the robot with the seizure-induced missiles, and then the robot was the one that blasted them, and then caused the camera to shake, and then caused this scene. However, Porygon was the one who was banned and never returned. Now, the answer to this is pretty simple. You see, Pikachu is the mascot of Pokemon, and Pikachu is to Nintendo what Stitch is to Disney. And naturally, they're not going to get rid of Pikachu because he's their mascot and they make Nintendo and Game Freak way too much money. So Porygon had to take the fall for Pikachu instead. And as such, he was never seen for the anime ever again. Even over 30-something years later, he has never returned. And not only that, but because of all the Japanese kids getting seizures, that put many of their lives in danger, which Pokemon already had this reputation of being satanic, which, yes, that's a natural thing. You can actually go research that. There's actually like hella news articles about that. And this episode did that really bad for Pokemon's reputation, whether it be it being satanic or causing seizures or promoting animal violence, which, yes, PETA did get on Pokemon's ass for animal violence. But either way, this episode was banned. Now, to me, I think they have solved this problem simple. Remove the effects and delete this scene. This episode was completely fine beforehand, before this showed up. Just don't use the effects and delete this scene, or rework it. And it could have been fine. Why did they put these red and blue lights in this episode? I don't know. But either way, it happened, and yeah. This could have been easily avoided, they just didn't do this. Like, they could have easily avoided this, but they just didn't. 90s television was able to get away with a lot of things, but yeah, Electric Soldier Porygon shows that even in the 90s, there's some things and some lines that you simply just cannot cross.